So how passive is passive investing? That's a question that comes up a lot of times on calls with people we speak with. And so I'm here with Michael Blanc. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, Bronson, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining today. Basically, today we want to ask this question: is what does it mean to be a passive investor, and how passive can that actually be?
Yeah, no, I used to think that there was such thing as passive investing, and I no longer really believe that. I think things that are more passive than others. But for example, a long time ago when I got into the restaurant business, it was set up as a passive investment. So I had the capital at the time. I hired a experienced operator, basically a property manager in our world, right, to operate all these restaurants, and I would just finance it, and I would sit back and count the passive income, which sounded good on paper, and it worked well for about 3.5 years until it no longer did. Long story short, I ended up basically managing my own 6 restaurants. Every single day I'm driving to the restaurants, meeting with the manager that was there, and it was hell, Bronson.
Sounds like
And
hell.
the main mistake I made was that I thought it was a passive investment. I talked to another guy who invested in a coffee shop, right? And that went south, and he ended up basically having to operate and sell the coffee shop. So really, I don't think any investment should be passive, because the problem is if you take the eye off the ball, you become complacent. You don't really know what's going on anymore. So the same thing is true for passively investing in multifamily syndications. While it is in the spectrum of things incredibly passive, no one should sit back and not watch their investment. And that's what the vast majority of people do, Bronson, is they think that their financial advisor manages their portfolio. They just keep investing stuff every single month, and they never look at the statements. And then like a year later, look at it and go, oh, it went up, or it stayed the same, or it went down. They're like, what's going on? I have no idea. And I think that's a mistake. I think with a very little effort, can have a disproportionate impact on your net worth and your portfolio. So nothing should be purely passive.
I agree. I mean, I think for me, and it's interesting, I'm sure a lot of people watching this you start out with financial freedom thinking, I'm going to do single family homes. I'm going to get this portfolio of homes and it's going to be great. And the checks are going to roll in and it's going to be so easy. And I've done it. And it's just way more work than I ever thought it would be. I mean, every week, sometimes every day, and multiple things and headaches and stuff coming up. And that's where passive investing, I've just come to where I just have fallen in love with passive investing. With that said, passive investing, like you said, it's not truly passive. There is an element where you are doing your diligence, you're doing work on basically managing how your money is going to be, where you're going to put your money. And in my experience, no one really cares about your money like you do. So you really need to have a strong interest in really being prepared, educating yourself. A lot of it is learning, a lot of it's networking and education, like we talk about. There's a guy that I know that basically he spends hours, I would say tens of hours a week, just networking with other investors to find deals. And he's a passive investor and he just looks for deals, and he's a full-time passive investor. And so, you'd ask him, is this actually passive? And he'd say, well, no, I'm really busy. I'm doing these things. But, I think that it's a lot more passive than actually active investing. And so that's, I guess that's kind of where we're going to go to that. But Michael, can you talk to a minute of that? Okay, this is passive investing. So how much time should I dedicate to this, and what should this look like? What kind of activities should I be doing?
Yeah, I mean, so there's some people that say that, hey, like, and especially this person you're talking about, hey, it's 10 hours a week that you really need to invest to, research things and stuff like that. And I don't know, that seems a little high to me, honestly. And I know the person you're talking to, but they're not your normal passive investor, right? They're fairly maniacal. And there are some people that are fairly maniacal. They get very involved in the weeds and the documents, the due diligence, the site visits. They ask 150 questions. All right, that's fine. But the vast majority of passive investors are not like that, okay? But really, you spend a lot of time up front. The time you're spending up front is educating yourself about the investment you're making, multifamily syndication. That's number one. Number two is you got to find someone to invest with, an operator. So you're maybe networking, you're going to events, and you're saying, well, who's experienced and who do I want to invest with? Right? Obviously, our company is Nighthawk. You might want to invest with us, but there's others as well. And so what you're going to do is you're going to spend a lot of time interviewing and finding someone to invest with. And that takes some time, right? It takes some time to do those things. But here's the good news. Once you actually find that person to invest with, the average passive investor does not invest with 10 different operators. They invest with one, maybe two, at I don't know if anyone invests really three. It's very rare. One or two people, okay? Because the syndicators with track record, people like us, they're doing 3 to 6 deals a year. There's always a flow of deals. There's really no reason to invest with 10 different operators. So what I'm saying is, yes, you might invest a little bit of time up front to find that operator, but once you find that operator, you just keep investing with them. And then what happens is once you invest, you get your monthly reports, and the average passive investor will look at the narrative. They'll say, hey, everything's on track, and they go, this is great, right? If somebody's not, and maybe the overachiever might actually crack open the financial reports and look at the rent roll and look at that. Very few people do, especially if things are going on track. So what happens is once you make an investment and the cash flow starts coming in and the property stabilizes, it doesn't really take any work at all. You just look at your email, everything's on track, good, I'm cashing my check, boom. So having said that, you got to spend a little bit of time up front to set the thing up, and then after that, it's relatively passive, even though, again, you should actually look at the reports and the emails that you get every single month.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because you compare, what is people that, people are very passive. They have no, they just don't really do anything. And then years later, or a year later, 6 months, they're like, well, what happened with my investment? What happened with my money? You got to have some real involvement in it, what's happening over time. And we've talked about this on some other videos, that as you get comfortable with one or two, or a couple different groups usually, or one group, you'll kind of feel like you really know them, they know you kind of know what they're going for. It's a very similar type of strategy, and you've had a good experience or whatever. So you feel like, okay, this is a team that I can trust. And so that's really the goal, is to take it out of being super, super active, but it's really working it more to a passive role. So that's something, and that's really what we're passionate about, is financial freedom. That's my passion, is helping people achieve financial freedom through passive investing. I know it's Michael's passion as well. So if you're watching this and you're interested in learning more about passive investing, more about investing in multifamily syndication, Michael has put together this amazing report, compares the stock market with real estate syndication and multifamily. Basically, if you compare the two, between the volatility and the returns, that multifamily syndication is far superior. It's quite extensive. Go to themichaelblanc.com/report, and you can find it there. Secondly, if you feel like, okay, I'm ready, I'd be interested to find out about your guys' deal. What are you guys doing at Nighthawk? So you can go to nighthawkequity.com, and you can click the join button, and you can set up a call with me. We'll basically have a conversation talking about what it would look like to partner with us on an upcoming deal. So thank you for taking the time to educate yourself. We're committed to your financial freedom. We'll see you on the next video.